Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here, and today I'm joined by SpidersSTG. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing fantastic. What an honor.
I'm
Truly.
stoked. I'm really stoked for this because I think in a lot of ways we are on the same page in terms of how we view not just shmups, but like the overall experience, like everything that goes into it,
Mm,
like just. But like I won't get ahead of myself. We'll get into that stuff when we
for
do. But
sure.
I think this is going to be a very interesting chat, and I'm just stoked that we were able to set aside some time and do this. So, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
absolutely.
yeah. So
I Dace, I don't know if you remember the first time that you reached out to me after I did my Alest video.
mhm.
And first of all, so what an honor for how long ago that was to where we are today. And it's been like it was an honor, it was flattering, and it was also just horrifying that I was going to be on Meet the Player with like this like very like next to no body of work, a new player, and I was like, oh my god, I need to get everything I have to say out of me as soon as possible before I just get exposed as some kind of imposter. Like, why would anybody talk to me? And no, but but it's
This
like
guy's got one
it
video on his channel. What is it?
yeah, but it inspired and motivated me through basically everything I've been putting out on YouTube. That was the germ of it, and that was always like just like the force behind it. So again, just super grateful and how meaningful this is to me for all the things that have come even just from that. That this is just what an honor and a privilege, and I'm so grateful.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's just as much an honor for me as well. Like every guest I get to connect with, I just get to hear what I love to hear, the background stories, like the character backstories and all that good stuff, and like Teletubbies and all that stuff.
A little bit tennis, a little bit Teletubbies.
So, yeah, why don't we get into the first question, which I'm sure you know already. Like, how and when did you first learn about the genre? Did you see someone play this stuff? Did you sample one of
Yeah,
these
well,
games yourself? Like, how did this pan out for you?
Well, I mean, I've been playing. I'm an old man, and I've been playing since back in the day, Nintendo. So one of my first games was 1942 for the NES,
Oh,
and I
crazy.
used to force my babysitter to play it with me, and she didn't really like it very much. But it wasn't. It was just another game. It was like you were the guy who went in the plane, and in Metroid you were the lady in the suit, and in Mario you were the guy jumping around. Like it wasn't like I didn't think of it as a genre at all.
Yeah.
And I figure like maybe every generation there'd be like a shmup that would catch my eye and I would play. But as far as like learning about like the genre, like the real this thing that is more than just like a style of game. It was actually funny. It was actually have you ever heard the game Valfaris?
Oh, dude. What do you think I'm
Yeah, it's
reviewing
a
right now?
dude.
Well, man, like, yeah.
Are
I
you saying?
played
Oh,
all of
okay.
their games, and I'm currently
That's so funny.
doing a video on the one that's hitting Switch tomorrow.
Mechatarion?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool. This is
Oh, oh
very
my
cool.
God,
So we
it's
all
so
kind of
good.
connect the loop.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I picked up Alfaris just kind of like on a whim. Like whenever I was playing, I was taking a break. I always love indie games. It came on sale. It was in the double pack was slain for like I think 250. And I was like,
Oh
okay,
my
awesome.
God.
And I'll tell you, like I was playing it, and Dace, I gotta tell you, I like hated it. I was playing it, and I was so frustrated. And I like, hey, I'm like, why is this way? Why is this so hard? Why did I get to do this quote unquote trial and error and these checkpoints? But the thing is, I could not stop playing it.
Yeah.
Every moment I had a free moment, I'm like, let me just work on this a little bit. Let me get to here. Let me get to there. And by the time I got to the end, by the time I got to the final boss, which if you remember, as it's like three versions of it. I beat the first one finally, and there's the second one. I'm like, oh my god. Then there's a second one. I'm like, I got them all nailed down. Here's the third one. I'm like, oh my god. And then finally, there's the one where he's like getting sucked in a vortex. I didn't even know you could move for that. So I was like, this is impossible. But by the time I finished that game, I was just like, it was like an amnesia, like a fog lifted, and I'm like, oh my god, this is what games were like, or at least like this is what the relationship with games were like. It was push and pull and give and tug and back and forth, and like you just like felt it at the end. You're like, oh my, like I played this game and I got through and I overcame something. And after that, it's still not at the genre yet, because in my head I'm like, okay, I just got to grab retro games where that people are looking for this kind of stuff. So like the next one ended up being, it was Android Junos 2. It was like I would check for sales. That was on sale. And this was like the magical part about that. So I was like, okay, this looks really cool. Is it going to fit that bill? I search it on YouTube. That's where I like to look for my game stuff. And the first, like, out of the first like 5 searches of the first, I got Shmup Junkies video. I got Electric Underground's video. I got E-Tramp Bullet Heaven's video, and Shmups. Shmups on Switch. So from there, it just opened up everything. Eventually, the algorithm brought me to you. It just opened up everything. And I'm just like, this is more than just, just like this like genre or retro or action game. And from there, I mean, that was just the rabbit hole, man. I watched everything, consumed everything, and it became like, it's not just like a genre even at that point. It's like a subculture. It's like a hobby and a subculture.
Yeah.
So it became part of my entertainment, my reading, my leisure, the things that I'm thinking about. And yeah, really all from that one search just hit me on everything. And then from there, I would just, everything I can get on sale, I would buy. First full price game I bought was actually when Shieldmaid came out. But everything else was grab sale, grab sale, grab sale. Now I'm just like, I'll grab whatever.
Yeah. It's amazing.
But yeah,
it's so amazing to hear.
That was the start. Yeah.
And what I always love is just when people connect with it in a way where it just becomes this all-consuming force. And just like one thing I've been thinking about a lot the last week, especially, is just how like everyone's going to have a different approach. Some people will jump in and just kind of like play these casually. Some will do a clear or two, and then they'll go off and play other games, and they won't come back to Shmups or whatever the case is. But for myself, and I know like for yourself as well, on some level, I would imagine you view it more as like a life path in a way, where it's like like you recognize all of the like the commitment, the sacrifice, and just the amount that your mind is shifting from caring about certain things, not in a way of like, oh, like I don't care about this anymore, but like you just naturally tend to like think about and invest more time and energy in all of the incredible experiences and like the mental processing and like all this stuff that can happen. And it's just fantastic. And I've seen this in various people where it just takes hold and they just ride it. And it's so exciting to think about.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's something that like starting from like my relationship with gaming. I mean, like playing video games has been something that's been, like a huge part of my life since I'm probably like 5-6 years old. I used to work in a video game retail. I worked at a video game distributor. It's most of the information I consume is video game related and always has been. Yep. And it just felt like getting into that part of that like getting into Shmups, getting into the genre, playing in that style, looking at this like as like going for like one credit clears, going for scores, and just engaging with something that is so simple, but it's not easy. It's like elegant. It's I wouldn't say like perfect, but it's like fully formed, and then it's just pure elegance in design, and then everything that comes from that. But like getting into that, just like it like lined up my values in the hobby, in my relationship to the hobby, in my relationship to consumption, in my relationship to rewards and discipline and how my mind works. And that went into everything else in my life. Yeah. It kind of like rewired my brain, and it made a lot of things in my life just make sense, make like work better. It was the only time I can say like playing games got me better in other places in my life. Like I was opening up a business at the time. It like got that kind of stuff sorted out. Like my relationships, like everything, just kind of like it just got my priorities straight. It got me to understand how my mind works and what I value. Really, absolutely. It sounds so much for just like playing like a $6 video game, but it really, like you said, like there's everything else around it. Really, like a life path. Like it sounds ridiculous to say, but I 100% understand what you're saying, and you understand what I'm saying when we're talking about this stuff.
And I think,
and not knocking anybody who doesn't, they wander in and wander out. I get it. I mean, you wish that they could see it the way that is, but everyone's got a different way to go.
Yeah, and I think what's great with just touching on what you said about how it like essentially got your life in order, or there is something, because the demands are so great in Shmups, people like us anyway, who want to commit to it and not just experience it like in a casual sense, we have to meet those demands. We have to grow. We have to kind of just submit to that process and just go with it and just be the one absorbing and learning and growing and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's awesome to hear you talking about this, because it's just exciting for me. Always exciting to hear people who connect on this kind of level and beyond. So, yeah, that's a great answer to the first question. So I think you might have even answered this. I know this first question took who knows how long to go through.
Oh yeah, no, sure.
What was your first shmup? Did we talk? I think you did mention that, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, I guess originally 1942 is the first one that I can remember ever playing. Maybe an Atari. If you would count the Star Wars game, I have a pretty clear memory of playing that in the arcade. Okay.
Yeah, my mind just went blank there for a second because of how how much of an direction we went in. So yeah.
So the first one I played with Introduce 2 was the first one that as entering this understanding it is a genre. This is a thing, not just a regular retro game or an action game or whatever.
It's great to make that distinction, because there's always the one game you're aware of. For instance, myself, I had Solar Striker on Game Boy back in 1995, sure. And at the time I had no idea these games were a group of games that all played very similarly. So for me, it was like you said, it was just okay, cool, it's just a game where you just happen to fly a ship around. It's no different from Metroid 2, where you're just doing something different. That's just how my mind viewed it as a kid. And but when I got into shmups back in 2018, I think, it was Stared in Binary Stars, and that blew me away. I had not seen anything. I had never heard of Bullet Hell, shmups, nothing. And so when I started going up against these bosses and just some of the patterns and just some of the insanity, it was the most incredible thing. And then after that, it was Danmaku Unlimited 3. And then that's when my eyes were open to wow, the game expects me to figure this out, or expects me to survive this. I have to apply myself to this now in ways that I certainly applied myself in Stared-In, but DU3, that was a whole other level of eyes being open to the experience. And then after that, it was just gobble up every shmup I could find. And then, so it's been a wild ride for sure. So what was it about these games that got you hooked? I know we've talked about some of the the initial details or things like that maybe sparked the interest, but was there one specific component, whether it was a mechanic or a particular look of a game, or whatever it was, what is it that just finally sealed the deal for you and said yes, I'm going all in on this?
I think to say one thing, it's the quality of the experience is that there's just no fat. There's sometimes a little bit of fat. But there's for the way I look at it is almost like this. If you're playing, let's just say I was a big JRPG fan, and you kind of go in for this grand adventure and story and things like that, or it's like a Dark Souls kind of game. It's very about it is very about the journey, and the journey is somewhat represented on that screen. So you kind of go along with it. And I do think that more modern games, and the more they kind of go, the journey is it is almost all on the screen, and very little is actually happening with you. It's more like a passive kind of a movie. And shmups are, to me, for my money, the exact opposite of it. Mm-hmm. It is purely, nothing changes about the shmup. It's almost like this monolithic thing that exists, whether you're there or not. Yeah, but the entire journey happens with you. When I think about anything just for example, my going through Sovstar, for me it's a Greek tragedy. It's a 3-act play. I'm only in act 2, and it has all the ups and the downs, everything that I feel you think you're getting in an RPG. You're building your stats, you're building your experience. You get all that in this very condensed experience, and the part that you're actually doing is just pure action, pure connection with the machine. But then we're talking about, it lingers with you, and it seeps into these other things in your life. So the story kind of happens as you go. I couldn't tell you one plot of a shmup, but I could tell you everything in my life that is the story of it. Which is
or the breakthroughs,
progression, the progression, the heartbreak, the ups, the downs. There's drama. There's drama from run to run. There's drama from day to day. There's drama from. How many times have you thought you're I'm about to, once you see this whole, I can see every bullet, I'm in the zone, I'm going to once you see this whole thing, I'm going to see this whole library. And then it just all of a sudden comes crashing down because there's some distraction that you had. And and it just whatever it is, like that's drama.
Yeah.
You know, it just by having it just has everything I want from playing games and from my relationship to playing games and from the hobby. It just has everything that you want in there. You know, everything else is just a version of or some kind of imitation of this like fundamental thing.
And that's
to me.
Yeah, and that's something I love about the genre. It's incredibly old as far as like games go, and there's something so like pure about the experience. And I think it just has that ancient kind of feeling to it. Like it's so old that it didn't need to do anything extra or be anything or try to be anything. It just is what it is, and it's like in that perfect pure state for those who can like jump in and appreciate it as that.
That's funny. I'll just because you mentioned it, because I think about it all the time, and actually not plugging, but it's a part of my making the video that I'm making about Signy. But there's this quote from the CEO of Treasure, from this interview on shmuprelations.com. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but he's talking about the STG genre. And, you know, long and short, my paraphrase is he talks about when he's a kid and he's playing Xevious at the arcade and he's going through it and he's like, you know, they've added bomb synths, they've added this, they've added that. He's like, but it's just distilled down to just shooting and dodging. And when Xevious came out, it came out just perfect, like fully formed. Like everything that the genre had or ever will have is in Xevious, and everything else, at least my interpretation of it, everything else is a conversation with that. Like you said, that ancient primordial, like that first thing, that first instantiation, we're all in conversation with that.
Yeah.
Is there a deeper, a baser version of it? Or you know, and we're all kind of coming at different angles. So through either like a cave game or through like a Euro shmup, through whatever, we're all in relation to that first origin point, that first thing that just, as soon as we were able to move pixels on screens, that's the first thing that came up.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think it's Space War, but it's a shmup adjacent.
Yeah, exactly.
You're in the category.
Like, no, for sure. And with Space War, it had the building blocks of what shmups would eventually use to establish themselves, and I think that's really cool. I've actually played that once before, like a number of years ago, and it's a pretty wild time. It's just wild seeing something from that long ago and knowing that like this helped to create what we now are just devoting all this time and energy to, and the reason we're talking now.
Yeah,
it's just crazy.
They peeked into another world and they saw something and they brought it back, and now it's out in the it's just loose and out in the wild here.
Yeah. All right, so next question: what is your favorite shmup?
My favorite shmup,
if you have
one. I mean, it's funny because as we're talking about this, like when I used to play games, I would keep like a record. I would like review them to myself and to no one, and just kind of like rank them in this little notepad. And when I started playing shmups, I stopped doing that.
Okay.
Because because I kind of like, I don't feel worthy of the opinion until I've seen it all. You know what I mean? Like, so I first played Androdunos, and it took me about like 30 hours to get the easy clear. But there's still 2 more difficulties. So what am I going to say? Oh, I like this. I don't know yet. I've only opened like the first page of it. Mm-hmm. But all that said, I think about almost like traveling kind of. Like I have my favorite place to go, and then I have the best trip I ever had. Yeah. And I think that Missile Dancer will always be the best trip I ever had, just because that was my first 1cc. That was my first high score. We're like deliberately trying to going all the way through the hard mode, and then just in a ridiculous, spectacular fashion, like blowing past the high score by like glitching out the game. Like that, like it just felt insane to be able to, I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. I can't believe I did this. It was just like so crazy to me. But I think if there's a place that I would go, I think Eschatos is, I just think it's the best. I haven't gone all the way with it, but that is my favorite game so far, for sure. It just has it all. Just a perfect ride. The music, it's just, I think it's one of the best games of all time, not just the shmup.
Yeah, interesting. I love I love what you said about not feeling worthy of dishing out this opinion when you haven't actually invested an appropriate amount of time. I think that's something a lot of, or at least I see a lot of people kind of like stumbling over, where they will have certain ideas about what they like or what the games should be, and then that skews their opinion and their experience when they're checking out something new. Like I could not tell you how many people don't like the game Risk System, for instance, because there's inertia.
Sure.
And but if you see it for what the game is going for, it is like nothing but an incredible time. I went all in with that game, and it was absolutely insane and wild. And yeah, it's
That's interesting.
I totally agree that sometimes you do need to just take a step back, get your thoughts out of the way, and allow the experience to be what, just kind of spells things out for you. Once you've put in a reasonable amount of time, not just kind of like checking something out and saying like, oh, well, it functions this way, so I'm not into it because it's not like this other game. Or like, it's just easy to like nitpick about stuff, but it's like, well, why not just sink in a little more and see what happens?
Right. That's that's literally like what I've been working on with the Signy video. Yeah. This thing's like, I've been doing it for about 2 weeks. I've been doing it nonstop. It's probably going to be like an hour and a half. But that's exactly what it is. It's kind of going through the narrative around this game since it came out, and kind of trying to. I'm doing my best to look at it from all perspectives, and then ultimately from me going through it. And I have my issues with it, but I did hit a point, and multiple times I hit this point where I'm like, okay, I see it, it clicked in my head, and just because like it made me think of it, and it is that like I think what's going on is it's an issue of trust, right? It's like, did the developer like you're trying to find their intention, and I think sometimes, and especially in this genre, and this is where I have sympathy actually for people who do kind of like get really upset and nitpicky and stuff. Mm-hmm. Is that, and I cover this with a different game in the video, is that there's some developers that they do not care. They don't care about the genre, and they're kind of wearing it like a suit, but they don't want to listen. They want to do their own thing. They're like, no, this is what I want to do with spaceships and bullets and this and that, and not what you want to have, because I have my own vision of it. But they also don't know the genre. Now, it turns out, I think that the Signy developers, I think he had a really interesting vision for what it should be. I don't know if he nailed it, but I think he can. And I think this game's going to be really interesting, but irregardless of that, but it's sort of like going through the game myself, going through the video, like making the video, going through his interviews, going through his forum posts, like I just have this picture of this guy. I'm like, he's trying something new, and it's going to be something. It's very special. What's going on with it? I don't know if it's going to be great. It's going to be good. It's going to be for some, it's going to be for others. But like, it did come down to like, do you trust this person to give you, like, you're giving this time to these developers? Do you believe in them? And I think that's kind of what happens, is people kind of have had faith broken so many times that they're like, they hear inertia and they're like, I'm not going through the heartbreak again. I'm not going through the ups and downs again. And I love that the Risk System. Actually, I listened to that interview and I bought that game immediately. I haven't got a chance to play it yet, but I love the art. I love the style of it. But that interview was so it opened my eyes. I thought it was very interesting. And I am looking forward to giving the game a shot. It's just sitting on my Switch now, waiting for me.
Yeah, one thing which always comes to mind that Chris Ekins said during that interview is something to the effect of how they don't just want to add things to a game because they are like the expected things. Like, if it's going to be in the game, it has to have a purpose. They're not just going to do it because everyone else has done it or every other shmup has done it. Because of that, like, they are able to just cut out things that would be meaningless, or just make it look like a lot of other experiences. And I think that's an incredible approach to take, because like, I think we can have both exist. We can have shmups that follow more of a traditional design, because we all love that kind of stuff. But I do feel it's just as important for people to be honest with themselves when they are creating games, and just say, hey, like, we're not just going to do this because people like that from a billion other games that came before over the decades. If it doesn't need to be in this game because we're going for this kind of experience instead. I think that's awesome, and it can make for some truly remarkable experiences that just leave an impression. Because like when I got to the end of Risk System, I was just like astounded that the game had so little attention and there were so few shmup players that were playing and seeing and recognizing what the experience was actually doing. And it's just a game that's waiting there for people to tap into how awesome it is. But of course, if people have like those blinders on where it's like, oh, it can't have this, it can't have that. Like if it's like this, I'm not touching it. Then it's like, okay, great. But anyway, that's that anyway.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's uphill because I think we're gonna always kind of like you're gonna constantly be going through this, and it becomes there's like an orthodoxy, but then there's this like stagnation kind of that people feel, and it's difficult. Like because okay, like I'm coming into the genre, like I'm new. Right. And it's been less than 2 years at this point, actually. And if there never was another shmup ever again, I will never be able to play every shmup that was ever made. I will find all these things here. So like, and then we also know that the genre, like this is not how you make money. You know what I mean? It's not like lawyer, doctor, shmup developer. Like it's not, it's not like, everyone's doing this, right? It's like, you're like, it's like it almost like either you're coming at it because like it has to be passion, or like I said, unfortunately there are these like, well, this is the tutorial game to make. It's just shmups also are again like they're easy to make and because they're simple, but they're not simple to do. They're not easy to do well. It's because they're elegant. Yeah. But if you understand. It's almost like I think about it like sushi. It's like you can just cut fish and put it on a plate, and like that sounds like I don't have to cook. I don't have to do anything. I just get fish, I get a knife, and I'm done. But like clearly not. Clearly there's so much art and craft to not only just the dish, but to everything around it, and the sourcing, and the environment, and the appreciation, and everything else. And then you hit it up with like between like sushi and sashimi. Are there like sashimi purists who are like, get this rice out of my face, I don't eat this rice? Yeah. Like is that like a thing that happens? So if you know the basics, can you know what I mean? Like it's like, no, I understand why you don't like inertia, but this is why we're gonna experiment with that. Let's re-examine where this can fall into. Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting, but it goes both. Like I've had a similar experience, and it's a game I will never talk about because I just my feelings are so negative. I just don't want to put them out into the world. But it did have a lot of those Euro shmup hallmarks, and I was so irritated and annoyed, and I felt it was like offensive to me. And it's hard to really explain why, but I feel like I got taken in, and then it was like they just like, here's the thing. It wasn't like here's the things we want to give you. It's like here's the things we want to do to you. We want to do this with the graphics to you. We want to put this whole thing felt very forced. And by the time I was done with it, I was just like, I wish that didn't happen to me. Yeah. Like I just not that I didn't do anything, but like I wish that didn't happen to me. I gave this thing a chance, and it just kind of like beat me up and took advantage. I feel like so I do kind of like see it both ways, but I always want to hope to like, I love looking at like new indie projects, and the weirder the better, and just like experimental, or like what was that game like God, I'm gonna say it wrong. Eigengrau?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Like that's a great example of like it is and it isn't, and it does a lot of things very weird and very interesting. But you can kind of like it's almost like if you look at like the STG genre as like the like the pure thing. It's like there's still these other things that like touch it that are also awesome. It's like you can love horror movies and every once in a while do a horror comedy. You're like, this is great, and it's like it's just these like you have, if you treat the genre, if you understand that, like if you respect the genre, you can kind of like bolt these like add these things onto it, like blossom these things out of it, and get these really interesting things, and then those can feed back into like there's so many great ideas in that game that can be pulled out into an arcade style like shmup. There's a lot of games that have those kind of concepts. Like this can be a whole other thing, but you would never find that whole other thing if you're not experimenting. If you're not doing, like kind of some wild stuff out there. Yeah,
and I think that's a great way of putting it. Kind of like bubbles that are touching our universe in a way. It's like some of these other games are like these peripheral experiences, and I think that's kind of like what Risk System or the new Valfaris game are like, because people could approach them thinking that like, oh, okay, well, they're called shmups, so it should play like a shmup, but that's not the point of these games. They're totally different things. So, like, just a quick example, and then we'll move on from Risk System. The fact that you don't control when you fire in Risk System. It's automatic based on when you're lined up with enemies. My first thought was like, oh, well, why am I not doing that? But the more I played it, I was like, well, this is a prime example of them not doing something just because that's how it's always been done. It makes more sense in that game to not control the firing manually. It makes so much more sense for it to be when you line up, because it's a very maneuver centric, well, I'll just call it that. Like, it's all about barrel rolls, rolling into lines of enemies on the opposite, like on the other side of the screen, like all the, like these movement related kind of facets that play into this. So it makes perfect sense. But of course, someone coming into it thinking like, oh, well, if that is like a red flag for them, they're going to dismiss the game immediately. They will just have their blinders on, and they will never see the why and the purpose behind that. And so, yeah, like anyone listening, I would encourage, you don't need to bring that kind of limiting mindset into a game. Of course, like everyone has limited time to play. So it's like if you genuinely aren't having fun or whatever the case is, then don't do it. But I think when we're in those situations, we can't make it about all these reasons that we drag in and expect the game to fit to all of that kind of stuff, because that's not fair to the experience. So I will.
No, I love that. I love that. 100%. Yeah, and now I'm itching to play, to give this game give this game some time. Yeah, for sure. No, I love that with like bringing kind of like your baggage, and I think just like leave it, even if you have kind of like my preconceived notions. Like the first maybe like the first like 8 or 9 months, I feel like everything I played was vertical. And you hear people like, oh, I don't like horizontals. I don't like horizontals. So you're kind of like, well, maybe these are. And now this year has been all horizontals, and I love it.
Yeah, totally.
Like I've been playing, revisiting Dunos was the big one for me. Was it Shieldmate, Devil Engine, Rolling Gunner? Like every horizontal, I'm having such a great time. I'm like, I don't. There's no reason for. I like what I'm playing. My preference is what I'm enjoying at the moment. At that point, Precisely. It's like pizza. Yeah, exactly. It's all good.
Yeah. So, has your taste in gaming shifted since developing this interest? Like, what kind of
Yes.
Yeah, like even just
dramatically. It's brutal.
What are some games that you would have played before Shmups?
I mean, I have a perfect example. Is that like if I was going to like roll out the scroll of the games that I think are the best games, my favorite games. My favorite game of all time is Elden Ring. It hit every single spot for me. It came at the perfect time. It was everything I wanted. All things that I didn't know if I wanted, I got. And I love it to death. And the DLC came out a couple months ago, and I cannot be bothered. Even like I have a like the way that it works is you have to like kind of like have your save file at a certain place at a certain time to like access the DLC. And the only character I have multiple characters in that game. I have like a Castlevania themed build where I only have a whip and things I can throw. Okay. And I'm like at the stage that I need to be, but I didn't beat the boss that I needed, and I haven't played this game in 2 years, and I'm like getting killed and stuff. I'm like I don't have the 3 hours, it's 4 hours that a shot's going to take to like get to this part. I'm like, I just don't have the patience for it. And that's nothing. I mean, like I love this game and I like playing that way, but the way dedication works and that kind of stuff is very different. And the amount of like time that you have to spend in each, you know what I mean? Like nothing against that. I will want to play that game eventually, but like I don't have the 2 hour session. Mm-hmm. I'm lucky to have the 1 hour session. The 1 hour session, I was playing a Unicorn Overlord. So I love like strategy RPGs and strategy games. So that game could fit a 1 hour slot for me. And when it started pushing its luck with being a little bit longer for, you know, like RPGs have like multiple components. So it's not just like you have like your, like in a strategy, you have like your battle system. Then you also have your storytelling. Then you also have your like table setting and inventory management. And to get through a phase of all of those elements can be like an hour 20 minutes. And if you feel like cut off, if you don't get all of those in a session, you feel like you're getting robbed of something. Yeah. You're like, well, I just played story for half an hour. I didn't even get to do anything. Now I got to go to work. So like once the session got shorter and just in my time, then like the games that filled that spot. But then also getting into like practicing and more just dedication, I'd rather balloon that with more time that I can play and then I can focus on the game. If I have an hour, I'd rather practice for half an hour, maybe review for half an hour, or practice for half an hour, do a run. Like I would just rather I thought I'm getting more out of it it. So just it's a shame in one way that I feel like I've lost a lot of patience, but I've also saved a lot of money.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't, if no ever game ever came out, I have enough in my library to last me for the rest of my life.
Oh man, I feel the same way.
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead.
actually, if you don't mind, I'll tell you something else that actually I think might be interesting. Is that, and this is something that I actually chatted with Germinator about. So he'll really appreciate this. Is so going back to like where we all thought we didn't think of shmups as like a thing. Like there's this, it's just these are the playing games instead of the guy running games instead of the tank games or whatever. And to come back to it at, like after all this time under my nose, I was like, are there any other genres that are like that kind of arrived fully formed, and then for one reason or another, just like the mainstream just decided wasn't like a cool thing anymore, but they're still around, and you kind of wonder why. And I noticed that like these like dungeon crawler games were still around.
Man, totally.
And I was like, they're still coming out with these. And I'm like, and they're basically just, and when I say dungeon crawler, not like Diablo, I mean like wizardry, like these like hardcore RPG dungeon games that are like, they're not that much different. I mean, if you're into the genre, they're different, but they're not, to me, they're not different than wizardry. And they're still making them. And I'm like, what is this genre? And I started looking into that. So I'm like, okay, now I'm interested. And now it is like kind of the shmup version of RPGs. I'm like, there's no mess. Totally. There's no fluff. There's very little story. It's just all the whatever thrills you can get from like an RPG system. They are all in this. And it's called blobbers now. It used to be dungeon crawlers. Now they're called blobbers, like shmups. So they just give us silly. They take the cool names and they take them for themselves and they leave us with these silly things so that we can all be shmups and blobbers instead of cool names like shooters and dungeon crawlers.
Oh man, yeah.
So and if anyone can say any other genres like that, like I would love to discover if there other things that have just been there and we've just been missing because of whatever reasons.
Yeah, no, it's great. I could get into dungeon crawlers like all day. They're so good. I've played actually no, I'm not even gonna go there because that's starting to get into it now.
No, for sure.
I'll start a channel called Dungeon Crawler Topia or something.
Yeah. No, a Germinator recommended me stuff, so he's in. So I'll join the round table.
Yeah,
if you want to get if you want to do a little dungeon crawler discussion, yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh man, I was gonna make another point before we got off on the dungeon crawler stuff, but it's out of my mind. Yeah, no, it's all good. So I think I'll just keep things rolling here. Do you have a preferred controller type?
Oh, arcade stick.
All right. Nice.
I can't get enough. I can't mess with the D-pad. I tried with when I'm playing like PC Engine stuff. I'll try to be like authentic and use like that kind of pad, but my diagonals are whack. My thumbs get tired. I can't hang with it. So arcade stick all the way.
Yeah, nice.
Hitbox I can do a little bit of. I'm actually and like the mix boxes I actually like them. I think they're very precise, but my hands get tired when I play them. Yeah. So I'm actually might be looking at some other like hitbox arrangement in the future with like larger buttons and I think I want up, above, down, not the fighting style hitbox. Yeah, for sure. But I'll keep an eye out there. But yeah, no, sticks all the way. And I love modding. I love trying out new stuff. It's ridiculous how many I got. I probably got 6 cases with different levers in them, and it's like its own kind of hobby that I love. Yeah, for so sure. Relaxing and fun.
Yeah, definitely. I've gotten our first daughter. She's like 3.5 now, and she loves anytime I like bring her down to the basement to look at like just the boxes of arcade sticks or opening one up and having her tamper around with things a little bit, and she's just really into that. And I think that's really cool, just giving them that experience at a younger age, because man, when I think about like how little access I had to anything like that at her age, like I didn't like sure I played like Nintendo when I was I'm not sure, like 6 or 7, who knows what age I would have been, but compared to what she's already like getting her hands on like peripherally, it's so cool to see how excited she is about stuff like that. So yeah,
that's super cool. Actually, that reminds me of something that maybe I don't know if this is interesting, but like when I was a little kid before Nintendo, everything was in the arcade, right? So like the joystick and the buttons, and I played games in the arcade for whatever it's worth when you're like 3 and 4 and 5 years old. But I remember this is very funny. It's like I didn't get a Nintendo for like my friend got a Nintendo and game pads, and I think he had Trojan was the game that he had. And like, I was scared to touch the gamepad. I didn't know what it was. I was intimidated by it. I didn't understand how it worked. And I didn't play games. I played the Zapper and I watched him play. And that was what I did. Basically Twitch 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny now because I think back, like now I feel like a lot of people are familiar with the D-pad and they're intimidated by the arcade stick. And I felt the exact opposite. I literally could not play on a gamepad until till my family got a Nintendo, and I could be all by myself and not be embarrassed to fall down the pit in Super Mario. I'm like, I'll try this thing. I don't know how it's gonna work. And then, obviously then, a life of playing video games with a D-pad. But yeah, there's something about the arcade stick setup. Like I think I mentioned to you, but like my godson came over to my house, and the first thing he did was start pressing these buttons and moving the joysticks. I'm like, it is something primal. You're just like, it just totally looks like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's jump right into this one. I'm really intrigued I have some ideas what you might how you might answer this. So what is your greatest accomplishment to date, or something you were proud of? And of course that never needs to be a 1cc specifically. It could be just something you learned, or like realizations, or just something big that you accomplished along the way.
I mean, I'm on Meet the Player on Shmuptopia. This is the greatest accomplishment for sure. Yeah, I mean, well, if you're saying besides this, I mean, the missile dancer thing is always going to be like huge for me. I think, God, it's. Yeah, I mean, as far as game stuff, I think the biggest challenge I overcame was getting my I got my expert Andrew Dunos clear with I'm pretty sure I have the number 2 or number 3 score in the world. And that, like, as far as that journey goes, that was, I can't even tell you, like, it was so difficult, but I never had to stop. Like, I kind of, part of me wishes I kept going for the top score, but I'm kind of like, I'm saving that for a year from now. And I kind of didn't love my motivations for doing so, but I never stopped having fun playing. And that was a lot of the things that I struggle with in games, and in Shmups in particular, I kind of like had to wrestle with in that. So I would probably say that in terms of like pure play.
Yeah.
That was my, that. And then other than that, I mean, like, I'm having so much fun with the YouTube channel. Every time I get like a comment is the greatest accomplishment. Someone says like, this video was cool, I'm like, this is the best. Or someone's like, I don't know, whatever they say, like, those are all the best. Like every time someone says something positive, I'm just like over the moon. I'm like, this is unbelievable.
No, that's great. I love seeing just people taking the plunge, so to speak, for channels, because I know a lot of people are certainly intimidated about the idea of starting a channel, especially if it's going to involve having their voice on or their face or whatever, because that's like definitely taking a big step in a certain direction, but it's always exciting, and it's really cool to see what different people zero in on in terms of what they make. So yeah, it's great to see what you do on your channel, and I'm stoked to see just how things will develop going forward with that. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Awesome. And honestly, like, thank you so much for that, because number one, like in discussions of you talking about new players sharing and commenting, that was huge for me. Like I listened to that, and it was something I was thinking about in the back of my head, but like that, I don't remember which video it was, but you were talking about that, and I was like, okay, you know what, I got to do this. I'm like, let me get over myself. Let me like put it out there. If anybody wants to hear it. And I wanted to hear it. Like, I wanted to hear, as a new player, and like a novice, and like part of that like struggle, like there's such a gap between people coming in and people talking to people coming in who are so much like further ahead, that I think that it's very difficult if you're not skilled. At least I found it very difficult. Like if you're not putting out something that like, at least in your head, is impressive to other people, it's embarrassing to be proud of it. It's a really odd feeling, but it's like I'm so proud of, and that was a lot of what the missile dancer video is about. It's like, I'm so proud of this, and I know for a fact that everyone thinks this is ridiculous, and I'm just lucky enough to not be embarrassed very easily. But like I'm like, and I was betting on, like, I'm so sure that people will kind of get it when they see it and be like, I'm not trying to brag that like, wow, I can't believe I did this. It's like, in terms of like, you couldn't do it. I'm like, I think anybody could have done it, but it's like he's like, everyone who's had that experience knows what it meant to them the first time that they were like, just like, were able to take something from the beginning to the end, and those feelings of excitement, elation. And yeah, so again, like, thank you so much for giving me the courage and almost like the mandate to be putting stuff out there.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to have contributed in that way, or inspired you, or been a part.
And other Meet the Players too. Germinator was a big part of that. His videos about going through Battle Garega and Gunvein and what he calls like the Germinator cycle. Like, you don't get to hear people talking about failure enough and struggling enough and losing enough, and that's a huge part of this genre. Most of the time we're failing and losing and getting our ships blown up is most of what we do. We only win one time, like you won CC once. Oh, well, maybe not generally, but most of the runs end in failure. And there's just, I don't see, at least on YouTube, I just don't see a lot of the failure part of it. So I'm always trying to think about how to present that and talk about that in an interesting way. And I think that will let new people come in and be like, oh, okay, you start to understand. You're like, oh, okay, I don't have to pick this up, be good at it, and then if I'm not good at it, it's not for me. It's like, no, none of us are good at it at first. Absolutely. Like, I don't know if you ever really, yeah, absolutely. It's like it will happen for you, and if you like, it will be there for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
If you will be there for it.
Yeah. You gotta show up, and you gotta show up every day.
Yeah, really.
So next, and this might be something we just touched on a little bit anyway, but what do you struggle with the most?
In game, I definitely think I have a very small mental stack. I think most people can like hold a lot more things in their head. I can hold, I feel like, 2 things in my head, and then the third thing is just the list of the other 2 things. Okay. So it's very, very, very short. So like any game, Dunos, Hellfire is a good example. Anything where I have to, or Radiant Silvergun, anything with multiple weapons that I have to switch, or in like Dunos and Hellfire, you have to like visualize kind of the wheel, like the order of, like if I move 2 weapons over, I'm going from my 4-way shot to my straight shot, but it's like 2 buttons over. And then if I want to go back, I go back 1, or I go back forward. Like, keeping that in my head while everything else is going on is very, 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 very challenging for me. So I always like to, if the game isn't simple, I need to simplify things. I will not use options if I find them confusing. I just won't even bother with them, and I'll try to find very, very simple ways so that I'm not thinking about very much at all. I like to develop very kind of quick, almost like heuristics. Just like I really liked, so for example, like what I really liked about Aleste, and Aleste came very easy to me, which is what I thought was really cool, because I like, people were saying like, oh, this, like they were having challenge with it, but like for whatever reason, it just came very easy to me. And I think it's because like, it was just you were always like, it was just you and the enemy, and when you saw an enemy, you just kind of figured out how it behaved, and everything else seemed random. But I was like, okay, I was almost like I just learned the enemy, and I can start to react. And then I got really good advice from Hauser, who's just like, oh, just focus on the small part of the screen. I'm like, oh my god, this is a breeze. I hang out in the bottom quarter of it when I can. Enemies come, I know how to deal with it, and then I just kind of like cruise on through, like very, very, very simple. Anything more than that things start to go off the rails. And then outside the game, just I'm always struggling with practice. Like, I'm always trying to figure out a better, more effective way to practice and to bring myself to practice. I always have more fun doing runs, and it's hard to find. Plus, all the games I've played so far like have pretty poor practice options.
Okay.
Which is tough. Either I've never played a game. Well, I mean, like I have on the side. I've never like seriously put in time on a game that I'm practicing with save states. So I'm looking forward to doing that soon and seeing how I do with it. Stage select at best, and some games not even a stage select. Or Andrew Junos has a very poor stage select, so it's useless to your. It's very useless because you're not going to have you're not going to be where you are when you get to that stage with the weapon selection, which is something that you have to kind of route through anyway. So practicing is a struggle for me in general.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna brainstorm some like not right now, but like come up with some ideas or just think on that, because practice for me comes so easily. And I'm like just extremely self-disciplined when it comes to that. But of course, my methods aren't going to necessarily work for everyone else. So, but I do believe that there's always going to be some way that will just click with someone.
For sure,
it's just a matter of figuring out what that
do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you always had discipline? Like when you were younger, did you have discipline?
In relation to what exactly? Like just everything? Like as an individual?
Just in general, like if you were kind of like, did you keep your room clean? Did you take like were you responsible at 13, 15 or 20? I mean, I don't want to ask you anything too personal, but like I'll tell you, like for me, like I've never had discipline. Mm-hmm. I've always struggled with it until into my 30s before I really started like be able to pull those kind of things in my life together. So I'm just curious if that relates to it, like structure. Yeah, like I've always been against like structure, and it's been very difficult for me. I had to be explained why, which I ended up having to do myself. Mm-hmm. Like no one could explain it to me, and then by the time I figured it out, now I'm an adult. I guess I'm still working on it, really.
Yeah. To answer the question, I'm not sure if like as a kid, I don't necessarily think I had self-discipline. I think what I possessed was just the drive to kind of just observe and absorb. And then when I was in my teens and stuff like that, when I got into like, for instance, guitar, like self-taught, and for me it was like 5 hours a day on guitar, electric and acoustic, and like no deviation from that. If I missed a day, I would make up for it to one degree or another. And so like I think when to answer the question, it wasn't so much about like just self-discipline as a kid, but just once I started gravitating toward certain things that were just like genuine interests or passions, that's when it was like just pour myself into it, and that's all there is to it. There's no asking questions about it. It's just you just go in and you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. So maybe that answers the question.
Kind of.
Like it's a form of self-discipline, but like as a kid you don't necessarily view it as self-discipline. You're because it's like, well, I want to do this and blah blah blah. So.
That's actually really interesting to me, because I also like play guitar and was self-taught, and it's funny because I didn't see that as discipline, but now that you're saying it, I'm like, I can't even imagine how I learned how to play guitar in the first place. But same thing, I'm playing for 2 hours, 3 hours a day, and I guess I didn't even give myself the credit for figuring that out, and all the work they had to put into it too. That's that's super interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So, do you have a favorite mechanic or ones you stay away from?
No. I'm too new to be picking and choosing things. I want to try everything and see how it goes. But I think my favorite, right now, like it keeps. I know it's my favorite because it keeps coming back to me. No matter what game I play, it comes to me, and it's like any game that has either like a literal game mechanic or like a scoring mechanic, anything that rewards like restraint. So that could be like a charge shot, that could be like a chaining system, that could be like a boss milk, or like even like in scoring, like I found that in SoStar, you like at least for how I play it, like to not fire is super important, because you want to hit the enemy. Like you don't want to hit anything stray. You want to hit the enemy on top of everything and get the gems as close as possible. Devil Blade has it. Shieldmate has it. Shieldmate MX has like a lot like restraint for its chain. So like I think that's so cool, and I think it's so cool that like the genre has had auto fire at this point. I think that, and rarely are people going back and playing old games and be like, I'm just going to play it the way it was. I'm just going to hit the button for every fire. So auto fire is kind of this like player side, like almost like a cheat that's now built into the games, but it does make you wonder. And I think this might have been in your risk system. We'll keep going back to that. It's like, well, if I'm firing no matter what, and I'm just holding the button down, why am I holding a button? Just have it happen automatically. Do you know? And I'm like, if developers can find ways to subvert the auto fire, it's like, we'll give you the auto fire, but we're going to find ways to either punish or to punish you for using it, or to reward you for thinking about it, and to make it a conscious decision to fire and a conscious decision not to fire. Mm-hmm. What was one? Operation Steel too. This you've played that.
Yep, totally.
The second ship has that like don't fire, and then your magnet, and then you can suck in all your stuff in your magnet, and then you get this crazy big blast, and you can keep powering up. I love that. I suck with that ship, but that's my favorite ship to play. But I can't get anywhere with it. I do better with Sid Cobra, whatever you call it. I call it Kid Cobra.
Yeah, that one's a fun one.
But yeah.
I haven't used the other one, like the big blast one, too much, but I did sample it. But I think I had more fun jumping into the other one, and just rode that for a while. Okay, so what are your current goals?
Current goals now. I gotta finish this video before it kills me. That's my current. That's my most immediate goal. But so touching back to like this meet the play, like you incepting me with this conversation is kind of the pushing force through like all these videos I'm making. And one of the coolest things is kind of like I felt like the need to explain my story from the beginning. And then combine that with, I think your Devil Engine video came at the exact right time when I was thinking about this stuff, where you kind of went back to it. Like all my assumptions were wrong about, not all of it, but I had a lot of assumptions about this game, and then all of a sudden they're not there anymore. Like it's not as memo heavy as I thought it was. It's not as strict as I thought it was, and that is what inspired me to go back to basically everything I'd played, start at the beginning, and then take every game to the highest level. So I went, Missile Dancer, I went back to make that video. Andrew Judas, I went back to, I'm still working on, but I declared easy. Then I went back almost a year later. No, a year to the day. Went through normal, then went through expert. I'm working on So Star now, so I really want to get that. That game I'm playing particularly for score, not for survival. So I'm going through all my first games, basically like the first year, and revisiting them and rechecking my expectations. Anything I've left uneasy, I want to take further. So I have so a few of those that I want to do, and then go back to like basically like where I started with the Lest. My plan with the Lest was to basically go through their entire library, and then as they turn into Rising, I want that to be my path into that like Rising cave world, that like kind of more elite world. But I want to take the longest way possible. I want to learn. I just want to know I feel like I can kind of think how they think and see how they've developed. And I want to kind of grow with them along the way. So I want to kind of go through their library and then as they branch out into like Milestone and Rising and Cave, and then kind of like go through there. I think that'd be a really fun. It's sort of like this fun like kind of like branch. Like this root that then like all these little branches come off of. So just to have, there's so many games, there's so many shmups. I need like a little bit of structure to like kind of like get going. So those are my big goals. And
nice. Yeah, awesome. It's great that you mentioned the Devil Engine thing, because I think it's easy to think that like when you're as inexperienced as I was at the time that I did very hard mode, my clear in that, when like I certainly put a lot of time into that game and experienced a lot and learned a lot, but even at that point it's still just the beginning. So like coming back to it after all these other experiences and growth and everything, you see that like, okay, at the time I thought it was memo heavy and so this and that, because I was so new to my understanding of how to flow with the game. I felt I had to do all these precise things because you just didn't know how to have more flexibility or more breathing room, which sometimes the games won't offer that. But I do feel that in Devil Engine, it does a great job of tricking you into thinking that it's memo heavy, but when you know the game, you can kind of just cruise and just, have a little more.
That's wild. Yeah. One man's memo is another man's reflex.
Yeah. well,
I had it. That's
the thing too. And I'm not saying that like you can just wing the game, because I don't think that's like ever the case.
No,
it's certainly not
that
how
game.
I want to play games. But like there's I think the only way to really put it is like there's just more breathing room now that I'm more experienced. I see more. I'm aware of more that I have at my disposal.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries. So we have one more question on this list. What advice would you give to those just jumping in for the first time?
It's tough because, excuse me. I got to cough this one out. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, no worries. I'll be sure to add compression to the moments where you're coughing, so it's
please.
Extra loud.
Put the reverb on there. Okay. Excuse me. God, advice for a new player. I think that, so sorry. I think that, well, one thing I would have loved to know early on when we talk about like the commitment is like how much commitment. I think if I knew early on that it wasn't unreasonable to put 30, 40, 50, 100 hours into a clear, that I would have had less doubt about where I was at and if this was for me or not. Like, if that makes sense. Something like, like I'm trying to think my first one that was really big. I think my Terraflame, getting Terraflamed Expert in high score, that was about 60 hours. And this is, and this is something that I don't think a lot of other people put that much time into the game, you know, but that also shows it's a reflective of where I ended up with it. But, you know, other people are putting in hundreds, thousands of hours. Like I see people play, they're like, Donpachi over thousands of hours into these games. And I think that if you're coming in like as, not like as a casual player, but you're coming in as a neophyte, you're just like, okay, I want to get into these things, just to know that it might, like, you're talking, I mean, realistically, you're talking like RPG length, right? Like these aren't unreasonable amounts of times to play a game. You could play an RPG for 80, 100 hours, not even an eyelash. You might not even remember half of it at that point. It's just like a blur. That might be that experience. And then the promise that it's going to be even more rewarding. I think that would be something that I would almost say, like, pick a game and just like make that your limit. Like if you're not sure, just like pick like 50 hours, see where you're at 50 hours or 30 hours, or what do you think, like what fits into like your week or your month or how much you play. And I think that, I mean, this is advice that I think I got from you. Besides, I love the 4cc concept. I love that it's like you don't have to 1cc it right away. Start with the 4cc, which has lore, which I didn't know. That's the Neo Geo Continue Max on the machines. So 4cc has a little bit of lore to it. But I think the best advice is just to 1cc anything. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, as long as it's hitting your skill level that you do have to apply something to the structure of it, you know, like apply something to do it. It's not just like an easy breezy. Just, it doesn't matter what it is. Do a Terran game. That's what I did. And it doesn't matter, because it's not about the game at that point. It's about building the structure and learning how to do it. And once you can know how to build the structure, you can build that for anything. It's not dissimilar. The game is different, but like the kind of, like the structure you're building to do that, the ladders and the bridges and the infrastructure you're building to do that, like, is kind of the same. I would say the same thing for scoring too. I think if people want to get into scoring, I hear a lot of people, or I hear the general advice I hear is like, do survival and then do score. And I'd almost say that I would say, no, if you want to score a game, just score right from the go. But pick a game, like find a game where you see a reasonable place that you can hit, either a gap that you want to hit or the first place, and just go get it. Just do what it takes to get it, you know? And once you like hit that, it doesn't matter what it is. It could be any, like just an indie game. It could be, it doesn't even have to be a shmup, anything with a leaderboard. Just like hit that and figure out how you had to apply it. And if it was easy, then find a harder one. Just keep finding a harder one until you kind of like, you get the structure, you get the kind of like, I feel like scoring is like a very scoundrelly kind of activity that you do. Like, it's like by hook or crook. It's like, I don't care. If the game lets me do it, I'm doing it. I don't care if it's honorable. I don't care if it's noble, because there's only one thing that matters. And if my initials are at the top of that thing and the game allowed it, then I'm in. I'll watch your you got a replay. I'll watch your replay. I'll figure out what points you left on the table. It doesn't matter. So I would encourage that. I would encourage more score play in general. I think that it's even among shmup players, they're like, well, I got the 1cc, but then the scoring isn't for me. It's like, it might be. It's like somehow yet another boundary that, when kind of like what we're talking about, where like, oh, this isn't the thing for me. Oh, I don't like this, or this is the red flag. It's like, there's some games that only really come alive with scoring.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like the 1cc is kind of this other, the 1cc is the easy mode from like the developer perspective. They're like, yeah, you can have fun back here, or we can really drive you crazy with some really cool stuff. So that's all I would say. That's really all my advice. And I guess I would say, like, what I wish I knew at the beginning is I loved finding the variety and finding everything, but I probably wish that I'm not sure that, like, instead that I wish I would have taken each game further along than I did. I kind of like stopped at easy modes and would start moving around. I don't think it was until Ghostblade that I started going into like higher difficulties. But to be perfectly honest, like, I knew the game better then. So like, to come back a year later, my skills were there, my game knowledge was gone. So I'm starting over either way. It was another like 30 hours to get to where I had to be originally. So if someone can hang, I think that, you know, in the same way where we say like everything's in conversation with Xevious, that means that core is in every game. Eventually, every STG will get you it will get you everywhere else. Like all the flashing lights, all these different games, like each one has kind of like the core seed of everything in it. Yeah. So
the DNA.
I wish I didn't feel. Yeah. So I wish I didn't feel like I needed to. I mean, I should take this advice. I wish I didn't feel like I need to get from everything to get the whole genre, when you can kind of like get it all from one, in a sense, even in like the empty spaces. Even if like the game doesn't have a bomb, it's sort of like this, you're still in relationship to everything else.
Definitely.
That'd be my advice.
Yeah, a lot of really interesting things there that I can definitely touch on just briefly. Like, I think I definitely agree. It's never a black and white. Like, you never want to be black and white about like, oh, it has to be survival first, then scoring. I think some games that might be the case, and other games it's like, well, okay, if you're scoring, you will be caring about totally different things right from the get-go than you would if you were playing for survival. So it's like, in that sense, it doesn't make sense to focus all this time and energy on survival when the thing you want to be doing is score anyway. Right. Touching on the other thing about how like just 30-40 hours is nothing, that brings up something I remember. At one point I was talking to someone and they had just I think it was like maybe 20 hours. It took them 20 hours to beat a game, and they were complaining about how long it took, and that was like too long.
Oh, wow.
And they were, I think by the end of that 20 hours they were just like fed up and like nothing but negativity and complaints. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, like, obviously there's the side of it that is like the attitude they're bringing in, which is not what I'm really into. But the other aspect that is really interesting is just the kind of like the lack of awareness for how much time could have gone into it. Because like they struggled so hard to get that clear. And by the end of it, at the end of that 20 hours, if it was a struggle to clear it, that says to me, okay, you didn't know enough about the game to dance with it proficiently. If it was a struggle just to like creep by, you weren't applying yourself. So I said to this person, like, okay, well, where do you think your knowledge and understanding of the game would be if you had triple that amount of time in the game? And they started to think about that, and they kind of realized, like, well, yeah, like if I put 60 hours into this, like they'd probably be so much more equipped to, first off, play super well compared to what the 20-hour version of them was doing. And the experience would probably be a lot different in terms of like their mindset, because they're now understanding more of the progression, more of what their capabilities are based on the knowledge they have established from everything they pulled from all that extra time. And again, it boils down to like, some people just don't want to put time into it. Some people don't want to commit to these things, these experiences, the learning. Some people will come with their baggage and all this other stuff. But it's a very clear example, and I've seen numerous examples like this elsewhere in different people, where it's like, when you are not willing inside, you're not going to have a very interesting or fun experience. You're going to come out of it just being negative and chalking another clear up as like, oh, it was this and that. And it's like, well, okay, if that's what it's like every time you clear a game, it doesn't sound like you're having very much fun. So it's like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, what's the point? There's no purpose to that.
Yeah.
Like, come out of it feeling like you just had a blast and that you learned everything you could. And you are going to feel like $1 million compared to 20 hours and feeling like garbage.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because well, I mean, like, I'm starting to get like, when I'm getting to the end, quote unquote, of games, it's like, I'm like, why am I stopping?
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, I got a 1cc, but like, why am I done? Why does that mean that I'm done?
Well, and just to interject for a second, like the way I view 1cc's are like, when you get that first 1cc, like, again, like, it's one of those things, like, not everyone is going to care about like doing another clear, and that's fine. Right. But I view the 1cc as like a pretty like basic thing at this point. It's like, that's the starting point. It's like, you get that, and it's like, okay, you have that first baby step of understanding and experience in the game. If you were to do more and more and more, your appreciation for how the game is designed, what you can do in that framework, like in the game, all of that just continues improving, and the appreciation just gets exponential. It's just crazy.
It's wild, and it's kind of like the curse of the genre. But like, I know that you see it too, where like I'm looking at footage of myself, and I have some like easy mode stuff recorded, and then I have this like again like 200 hours later hard mode stuff recorded, and it kind of looks the same in a way. You're like, oh, this looks exactly the same. So like you can't tell someone like, yeah, at this point this is what was going on in my head, and at this point it was like this is a whole other game. I'm in another game. This is not the same thing it was 40 hours ago. I'm in the Matrix now over here, and this thing happens, and it's like, you're like, do you see what I did here? Where I just kind of do this little dip right here, and then this happens, and then all of a sudden, and they're like, it doesn't look like anything's happening, but you're like, that was a master move.
Oh, yeah.
It's like watching someone play chess. You don't know chess. You're like, no, there's exclamation points at the side of it. Like that little shift down there, that is 2 exclamation points on the notation. And I think if you could show anybody that, if you show anybody that from the outside, like we don't have like what's like fighting games. It's like fighting games and shmups like kind of like are like weird like cousins in a way, you know, like we're very similar in a lot of ways, and then it's almost like the opposite. Like we kind of like have solutions to those problems in certain ways. But like fighting games, everybody understands. You don't have to understand the fighting game because you have like the crowd and you have the hype around it that you understand when something really cool happened, and there's commentary that's like telling you that. It's harder to do that with shmups, right? It's like, especially like it doesn't look like it, like almost like the less that happens, where you start to see like the real genius of how people are applying themselves and approaching stuff. Like it's hard to be like, oh, that was amazing. I can't believe he did that. Like I can't believe, what a smart way to do it, or what an elegant move, or like, oh, he didn't mean to do that. What a reflex dodge that he just made. I know that he screwed up, but let's see him pick it back. You know, like see if he's getting flustered or if he like picks it back up. Yeah, like if we could share the like, how do you explain to someone that there's another, that like to look on the other side of the mirror, like to look, you gotta go through the looking glass. It's gonna look the same as here. Nothing's gonna be different. It's like if in the Matrix, if you took the red pill and nothing changed, like absolutely everything looks exactly the same. Nothing's different. Just you're different is the only thing that's different. It's so hard to explain that to people.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was just getting over. I think I had pneumonia, but just pulled on through and just whatever. All right.
So
hope I didn't ruin that take with coughing.
No, not at all. So yeah, where do we want to go from here? Since it's kind of like we have a general idea of what we want to discuss.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I at the same time, I will say I feel like we've kind of conveyed certain aspects of how we view like really nicely with everything we've talked about so far. So what are you feeling at this point?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I still have some questions.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
Yeah. So I would say that, you know, like even like touching back onto like how like I came in and how I just found everything I needed. So I sort of have like this is like pretty silly, but I enjoy it. I have this like Mount Rushmore of like shmup, like I guess like content creators or whatever. But in my mind, it's like, right, so you have like E-Trim on Bullet Heaven, right? That's like the body. It's so much knowledge, so much just this huge, literally like encyclopedia of like shmup knowledge. It's just such a wonderful resource. And then you got Shmup Junkie, who's just the soul of it. I feel like anyone can just watch him and just wants to play every single game he talks about, and you see the enthusiasm and the passion. And then you have like Mark in the Electric Underground, who's like the body, right? He's like the fighter. Like he just goes in the gutters and just he's so passionate and angry and full of fire and just has so much to you just see it's just anger and passion just kind of going back and forth, and he's like really like a fighter. That's the only way to put it. And then you're like the mind to me. You're like, and I don't just mean the mind of like in the intelligence way. I mean like in the way of like a spiritual, like of the spiritual self. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like you're like the mind of the genre, and I don't know how much is explicit in the things that you said or how much I'm reading into it, but I've always just like seen this kind of like this mental spiritual kind of component about the whole thing. And then I remember like it was one of our first interactions on Twitter where when you got your rolling gunner, I think it was your rolling gunner expert clear, and you were talking about it, and you didn't say like you felt nothing, but it was like some version of I don't remember the tweet. You're like, yeah, I got the clear, and I just felt nothing. Mm-hmm. And then people were asking questions. Or like, well, what do you mean you weren't happy, you weren't excited? And I was like kind of like half joking, but I was like probably achieves like enlightenment. I'm like, you probably hit a state of enlightenment, basically shmup enlightenment. And you were kind of like, nah, I know that like not that, but maybe this kind of thing. And then it just like everything just moved on, and I'm like, oh my god, like I know this guy's thinking about this stuff. It's like right, it's like I feel like it's always at the tip of the tongue is this like like, guru, give the spiritual knowledge. Like, I'm so curious how, like, I wonder if you have like a meditation practice or a mental, like some kind of like mental well-being or spirituality, and then how that connects to Shmups in that way. Like if you see the connection. I already feel like we kind of did already talk around that. We already kind of do.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to like how you think about it. Like, I'm a terrible meditator, and I always have been. And like, one of my best friends is like, he's very into, like, he's like a Buddhist scholar, for lack of a better term. So I don't know much about it, but I pick a lot of it up like from the antenna, just from discussions that we have.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of the concepts in there that I couldn't grasp on the cushion, I grasp on the couch, so to speak. Like, I grasp on the arcade stick, and just this understanding of self and mind and focus and attention. It just kind of all makes sense to me in Shmups. I was just wondering, I guess, long and short, like how, if those things even connect to you, and kind of like just like how you feel about that.
Yeah, so I think what I would love to do is just read the original message, and then
okay, even better,
and then I can get into just the idea of sadhana, which a lot of people probably are not familiar with, and I'll kind of like relate that to like my experience with Shmups and stuff like that. So you said maybe you reached a state of upekkha after such extended focus and concentration. And then I said, it's something I always think about, like some form of sadhana where you surrender to something, allowing yourself to be completely consumed and in turn nurtured. So the idea is that like with sadhana, and this could technically be applied to anything at all. It's just the idea of like a daily practice where you are just committed to it. And it's a tremendous amount of sacrifice, and your practice and all these other things just continue to intensify. And it just gets deeper and deeper to the point where your thoughts are filled with this thing. You live it, you breathe it, all of that kind of stuff. You surrender to it, essentially. It engulfs you, and at the same time, it's nurturing you as well. So it's kind of just like you give of yourself, and it sustains you. So that's kind of like the main idea. So when I think about what happened with Rolling Gunner, the reason I didn't feel anything when I cleared expert mode is because leading up to that moment, all the time put into practice and blah, 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 in my mind, I have already cleared it. So clearing it doesn't change anything at all. And at the same time, I recognize that clearing expert mode for the first time is only the beginning of my journey. It's a never-ending thing with Rolling Gunner. And you, of course, you can apply this to as many games as you want. You can apply it to one game you really love or whatever the case is. But it's just the idea that like I'm not into thinking that like, oh, this one little achievement means that something is done. And it's the same with like some, I don't recall who it was, but it was like some painter, like no painting was ever finished, even though it could be like, okay, I'm not doing anything else to it, and it's being sold now, the art is never done. And I think that's how I view this. Like you can always do something more, you can always learn something more. So when I cleared it, it was like, well, nothing has changed, and I'm still a part of this game. I'm still a part of this lifestyle. I'm still a part of this experience. So like it just is the way it is. It's just the natural thing. So it's like there's nothing to suddenly be like, oh wow, like this and that, and now it's over and done with and blah blah blah. There's none of that, because that's not what the experience is to me. It's so much deeper than that. It's so much more of an ongoing connection and relationship that doesn't just experience this one moment and then boom, it's done. That just doesn't make sense to me. So that's how I will kind of like articulate that, if that answers the question, or just like kind of fills in some of the
yeah, it does. And then it touches a lot of the stuff that we talked about, and just begs even more questions. It's just such a powerful mentality to have, and it is very difficult to explain, and it's almost like you're underselling what would traditionally be the selling point. You're like, well, you do this, and at the end you're very happy and excited, and it's like no, it's always about it's like, no, in fact, don't do that. It's like you're going to do this, and you're going to keep doing it, and you're going to keep doing it, and it's not, those things are not what is happening. Like that is not you're not collecting medals. You're not collecting medals to pin onto your chest. You're
absolutely.
You're growing something else.
Totally.
And you're right, and like you're feeding it and nurturing. I love that so much. I really do. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I first learned about the idea of Sadhana from a tabla player, one of the most skilled on the planet, easily, Yogesh Samsi. And when I heard that, like his explanation of it, it was just like, that makes sense for the way I approach things in life, whether it's music, shmups, like this, that, like percussion, like anything. Like that's how I've just always gone into these experiences to the degrees and like the intensity itself intensifying with like practice and all this kind of stuff. So that was like certainly an exciting thing to stumble upon at one point, just like a 2-minute YouTube video. And that has always stuck with me ever since.
And it kind of changes that little bit of perception, and then you also feel like it fits. Like oh, this fits. Yeah, I gotta start. I'm gonna think about that a lot. So thank you for that.
I can get you the link as well. I actually, like when we were
send me that
a week ago, like when we were attempting to remember what was said in the tweet and all that.
Right.
I tracked down that video again, and so I will share that with you.
Awesome. And I hope other people find this interesting. We're not just the two crazy people that think like that kind of see this like this other component of, because I feel like it can be anything. It can be anything.
For sure.
And
it
can be shmups, it could be gardening, it could be painting, it could be music, it could be clipping toenails. I mean, you might not have toenails to clip, but it could be like if you sort of like not to get like metaphysical, but it's like if there is like a divine, if there is like creation, then it stands to reason that everything is imbued with that. And then it stands to reason that in everything imbued with that, you can then extract everything from that.
Yeah.
So like every hobby, every interaction, everything can be, if you put enough in there, there is that much to it. So I don't think it's silly for gaming or shmups or board games or drawing or anything like that. Or sushi making, like we were talking about earlier. Like anything can have that kind of. If you can change the relationship with these things, you go in as much as you want to go in. And the sillier everyone else thinks it is, the better. You know what? Even the better. Yeah. Even the better.
Yeah. And it's funny because for the longest time, I think even before the whole like Sadhana thing, I always did view shmups or like the games I was playing in the genre as a relationship, because I recognized like, okay, well, I have to, like, if I'm going to be a part of this, I have responsibilities. I have a role to serve here. I have things that I want to like contribute essentially. And if I don't do those things, then where does the relationship go? It goes literally nowhere.
Right.
It's like you always have to be present. And when you do this one little thing, that doesn't mean it's over. So that's just kind of like, another thing I'll throw in there.
Yeah, no, I love it.
So where does that leave us? What else is on your plate, or get off your chest, or?
I mean, nothing I can really think of off the top of my head. When you're talking about relationships, like it's interesting that you had that thought pretty early on with this genre in particular about them in a relationship. Yeah. Did you think of gaming before that in relationship?
That's tricky to say, because I'm sure like a lot of people have probably heard this story already, but like I think it's kind of important. I went from playing games like in my teens and whatever, and I had like PlayStation 2, and then I didn't buy anything after PlayStation 2 until Nintendo Switch came out. I think that's about 20 years of no new games, no new systems, just playing my original like JRPGs like every once in a while. And so coming back into games and jumping into things like Celeste, like the modern one that came out in 2018, I think, and then like Dead Cells. These were some of my first experiences in games after a 20-year period, other than things I had, of course, like I knew the game and I was already just like replaying it and then replaying it a year later or whatever. But in terms of new experiences, those were some of like the first games that were like very difficult things to overcome. But so it's not that I was viewing those in the sense of like, oh, this is a relationship, but I was still treating it like one, because it was I am loving this experience and I just want to push as far as I can go. Like I remember Dead Cells specifically. I like beat 0 Cell, and then it was like right on to the next difficulty, and then all the way up to, I don't think 5 Cell difficulty came out until like way later, but I took it as far as you could go, And I remember people struggling on 0 or 1 cell, and it was just like, just sink into the game. Like, there was just something about it that like I recognized at that point where it's like, it's as simple as just loving what you're doing and wanting more and more. And as long as that is there, you will just do the things that you want to do. I think
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think just maybe I'll even include this in the description or something. I at one point did this 5-cell run. I only saved like the very final fight because like the run was probably like an hour long or more. But up against like the final boss, and I had it as a custom mode, so I disabled all the mutations, so I didn't get to like choose any like perks or any benefits or whatever. I was just going in, and it was like the wildest thing to pull off ever, but it was so rewarding and so satisfying. And that's kind of like what I'm talking about. Like, some people will feel like, oh, you've got to have all this knowledge like coming into the genre to like be able to tackle shmups. You have to know the fundamentals. I don't believe that at all. When I got into shmups, very quickly I got onto Ghostblade HD, and I made it to the top of the leaderboard, which was like a huge experience for me, and I beat the hardest difficulty. Not that one's like crazy demanding like some games, but it's still like when you're new.
100%.
I do feel like when you're new, all you need is that passion. Like, I had no idea how to play shmups. I had no idea anything about the fundamentals at that point. And yet I was still able to accomplish these things because the passion and the dedication is what was driving me. And so
that's all.
Yeah, I could just babble on and on about this kind of stuff and whatever. But
it's wild to think. It's like, Ghostblade is funny. Like that game. So I played that. That was pretty early. That's in that early set. So like the first like month or two. And even though I was like, whatever I was watching and viewing things, it doesn't mean that you know anything. Someone could say, "Oh, there's fundamentals." I'm like, okay, that's great. I don't know what that means. I didn't know. I still barely know what that means. Like I get it, and then you're kind of like, I get it till I don't. You kind of like gotta like build your own version of like understanding for things.
Absolutely.
But like Ghostblade drove me wild. Like I changed my glasses prescription. Like I'm like I can't see these bullets. Like I don't know if there's something wrong with my eyes. I was changing like the distance of everything, and it was eventually just like learning the game and learning like I'm like, oh, I'm looking at the wrong place. I'm like why am I staring here? And then I'm gonna get like I back into things. I'm like, why do you it's I thought everything in the world was wrong except for my attention and where I was putting it, and that's like hard to learn when you're new. I didn't get as like as far as you did that early, but no, that's like a serious crazy game to push all the way out that early. Just kind of like doing that. I think that's awesome. I love that story.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was definitely crazy. I was so new to that game that like at this point you would just know that like, okay, the stages are the same every single time, so you easily know when to expect.
Right.
But for me, it was like, I know something's about to come, but I have no idea when, and then it just shows up, and then like, boom, you take it. Like, it was so primitive. It was so like infant, and yet it's like, it's just crazy to see what you can do without the fundamentals. Like I said.
Yeah. I mean, they're there, so they kind of emerge. Like they sort of present themselves in ways where you can kind of like, it's up to you to sort of like solidify your knowledge of that. But you're like, okay. Like if I go this way, I'm like, wait a second, if I'm up here and he's shooting there, I'll wait. If I move, you just kind of like, you kind of put it together. Yeah. And we have, I mean, like I feel blessed that I'm coming so late in the game where there is, like, I mean, this is when people were playing in the 80s. There was no fundamentals. They kind of had to like figure it out, and they, like on their own kind of like at least pioneer the thought of this kind of stuff. Like, of course, these things were happening, but they're, they weren't like classified and distinguished where you can kind of like pass it on to people. Like I think like something like
tap dodging, for instance. Yeah,
it doesn't come to you naturally that there's a thing to be doing there, because you might not see it. But then when you kind of like, once you kind of like get it, like I like Eschatos taught it to me by accident. I didn't know it was a thing. But I was like, oh, if I just move all the way here, I'm stuck here. Yeah, so I got to move a lot less. So you kind of like, so that game kind of like taught it to me, but it wasn't until I guess really when you like heard the turn and you're like, oh, that's what okay. And it starts to like solidify. Yeah, and then all of a sudden you just kind of bust it out like a dance move. You're like, okay, I'm going to try. This is going to get me through here. And like like streaming bullets and manipulating things, moving things around like that. It's fundamental, but it's still like a little bit of extra. And I think it comes to terms with like when you realize, like I love when you say dancing, because it's exactly how it feels. It's like you think you're fighting against this thing, but you're dancing with it. Like you're really, and like good runs, they are like choreography. And I think that even ties into what you're saying with Sadhana. It's like if you do the dance, you're not done with the dance. It's just the next dance. Like you performed it, and here it is. And then whatever it is, next season, next day, next holiday, you're going to do this dance again. Someone's going to want to see it. You're going to show it to them. You want to share it, and it's in you. Like it's just part of something that you're doing. And maybe it's hard to like grasp that at first because you feel like you're in conflict. It's like, no, you need to become in unison with this thing.
Exactly.
Unless it's Garega. I heard that one bucks back a lot. Some of those ranks buck back a lot.
Yeah, unison is like another great word because it is very much about just flowing with the program.
Yes.
And not thinking it's about being against it. Because like the program is the same every single time.
Yeah, it's indifferent to you in a way. Yeah. I mean, it recognizes that you're there, but
it's going to do the same dance. You just have to get in sync with.
Yeah, and it doesn't care if you win or lose. It doesn't want either to happen. It's just like, I'm here. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, I beat you. You're like, I'm still here. You didn't beat anything. I'm still here. It's like, I lost. It's like, you didn't lose anything. I'm still here. And I'm always going to be here.
Totally. And that's what I love about going deep with these games, or at least like particular ones, because in the same way, it's like I have as little knowledge as you want to extract from me, or a universe of knowledge. Yeah. So it's like, it's whatever you bring. So like before, like the person I mentioned who brought their negativity and their baggage to the 20-hour experience that they had, it's like you can bring something else and you will get something else.
It's like the the wishing well in Zelda. You can put in the weapon and you think you never get it back, and you get back the better weapon, or you can put in trash, you get trash out.
Yeah.
I did think of a question for you if you're not on a train of thought. So what is your, so if you're, let's just say like you're playing, I don't know, whatever, let's say like Crystal Breaker's coming out on Switch, right? Which is, I played the demo on PC. I'm very excited about it. It's super fun, very aggressive. I think it's probably gonna be the best Terran game that he's ever done. Just from the one stage. Like I really think it's something special. Anyway, regardless, like, so you say like you try that, you pick it up. What is the thing that happens in your mind, or that you see, or that you feel, that makes you decide that you like, okay, I want to go deeper with this one? Like, what is it? Something about you or the game, or something clicks, or like, what is that feeling like for you?
So I think, yeah, that's a really excellent question. I think that is very tricky to answer because I don't think it's fair or right for me to kind of like put that answer into a box as if that can apply to
sure.
Just
well, maybe like
a blanket things, because like
maybe like an example of, instead of being the rule, would just be like, this is what happened maybe one time or something like that, maybe.
Oh yeah, no, that's great. So let's take Devil Engine for example. Like that, the pixel art, the soundtrack, how ruthless the game is, all of those things blended into this incredible mixture, that just had me saying like, okay, I'm going in, and like I'm not going to stop. And so in something else, like let's say
Rolling Gunner was the one that you went real deep with. So what was that first spark that
I think
where you're like, this is one?
I think just how, probably sort of similar to Devil Engine, it was just, this game demands so much, or like it's going to take everything from you unless you learn and commit to it. And like and like if you are not applying yourself, if you're not sacrificing so that you can do all this learning and just like really get things down so tight and have that satisfying performance where everything is just banged out so precisely, like I think there's just something about that just has me tick, and it's just like, I want to jump into that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just lap that up entirely. So I think in a general sense, it's when a game looks and sounds awesome and just has the right blend of like mechanics too, because like there are certain mechanics that like I can enjoy it, but that doesn't mean it's going to like really feel like I'm being engaged by the program or like ready to connect with it on that level. So I don't think it's like, while I can have sort of like ideas of some elements that were present in those experiences, I don't really think it's something I can put into words. It's just something that happens.
Yeah, I wonder. Like we were talking about things being like relationships. Let's see about you mentioned Devil Engine, and it's funny because like I played that for the first I played that for the first time, and the first playthrough I was like I'm still like it's ahead of me. It's in my future. I still want to get I'm still building like a lot of vocabulary, probably more than I have to, but I really enjoy doing it. I want to be a beginner as long as I can stretch it out. To be honest with you, I love this. But like this, like I played it and I'm like, this is the goal game. I'm like, I need to get into this game. It's just, it's like something about like, it's how it just like, how it fought back and how it, when you can get away with things and just like how it was kind of showing you, and it's just so fast and like you said, like ruthless. But as you know, like I'm not, I play it very casually now, but like once you start to kind of get it and you can kind of mess with it and dance with it, you're like, I got you, dude. Like, okay, oh, this is a fast one. This is a quick, okay. And you can kind of get into the rhythm too. I'm like, this is going to be one that I really want to go insane with. But I'm like talking about a relationship, it's almost like, I'm wondering if you agree, like it's almost like a seduction, so it's still early doors and you don't have a lot to, like, you don't know what it's going to be like in 6 months, 6 years, 60 years. Like you don't know what the relationship is going to be, but do you think like over time, like you start to not just develop a taste, right? But you start to see things. You're like, this is what, like I used to think this was what was important, but I have a really good feeling about this. And somehow the game is like, you're like, okay, this is good. This is something that we can be serious.
Yeah. Totally.
You're a serious, you're a serious game and I'm a serious fella and we can make something happen.
I think that's certainly a part of it on some level for sure, because like there will be certain things that attract you about a mechanical system in a game. Like I said, the music, the graphics, that's like always really easy. You're either into those things or you're not. So those are the easy things. But like I think when it's that mixed with mechanics that you can really get behind, when you really feel the potential or the control you have over that system, or with that system rather, I think that definitely contributes to those instances where it's like, okay, yeah, this has everything that makes it easy to just plunge in and just don't ask questions. You're just in it, and that's all there is to it.
Head over heels, just dive right in. Let's go. Let's find out. Hopefully, no heartbreak at the end.
Only if you bring it.
Yeah, only if you bring it, right?
Well, shall we leave off there, or is there anything else?
Yeah, man. No, this was the best. Thank you. Thank you so much for not only for inviting me, but for doing this in general, man. Like, I don't know. I can't express how much it means to me, how much it's meant to me. I mean, not just like, you invited me here and our relationship, but like for everybody that you've done, every one of those Meet the Players, it's just getting to know them on that level, the way that like you're similar, the way that we're different, the way that it's kind of like you've built like a place, and I don't know, I think everyone really appreciates it. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
thank you.
And like in that place, it's like the level of discussion, the level of passion. It's just something on like a different level. And and when we talk about like a 1cc, like I do feel like this is like it's just getting started. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense. And I'm very excited about it. And love what you're doing. Love this, and that's about it. I'm done gushing before I get embarrassed. But I'm just so grateful for what you're doing in this shot. Like I think one of the coolest things about STGs is we go back to the beginning of this thing. It's not clearly love the hobby. When we're talking about the ideas of a life path, but like it really feels like a subculture just waiting to kind of like happen, because it's not just people playing these games, but it's got to be all these different stories and the way everyone came to it and the way everyone's relating to something that like it's like so many people, gaming is one of the most popular activities in the world, but like the way people are relating to it is becoming very, very, very different. And for someone, and I think about, maybe this is going like too far off the rails, but just because it's like what I'm thinking about with my video is like there's people that are in these like relationships with games that I personally think are damaged, like they're like addicting.
I was going to say
predatory, destructive, negative. They feel there's like toxic behavior in their communities, or there's like just like it's literally just toxins going into their bodies, and they're like I'm paying $5 to stay on this like gerbil drip of whatever they're doing. I'm getting MTX. Developers are telling them no good, or just like whatever's going on, and it's like there's this like this other path. This might be, I don't even know if you're going, but have you ever seen the movie Malcolm X?
No, I haven't.
Well, there's this beautiful scene in the movie where brother Malcolm he's going. I think it's his first speech to like the broader nation of Islam, like not in the community but the broader nation. And he's like so nervous. Oh, I'm sorry. And he's getting promoted to whatever like higher place in there. And he feels like such a phony, such a fraud, and such an imposter. And then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he takes these 2 glasses of water, and he pours, I think it's ink, into one of the glasses, and he shows them both the glasses, and he says it's like if you offer the inky glass to people, it's like they're thirsty, they're gonna drink it. But if you offer them the clean glass and you give them the choice, they will choose the clean water. Now, I kind of disagree with that, because I think a lot of people are drinking the inky water, and I don't. But maybe they're not being presented like that clean glass. Mm-hmm. I feel like they are, but then maybe they're not. Like no one's heard of a lot of these things going on in different scenes all over. And I'm sure Shmups aren't the only one. I'm sure there's other places that we haven't even discovered yet, where there's these amazing gaming subcultures where they're healthy and vibrant, and their relationship to the hobby is a positive thing in their lives and not a negative thing in their lives. Yeah. So all that to say that keep on keeping on. I love what you're doing. I think you're doing I think you're doing it not just a fun gaming channel, but I think you're really doing a great thing. I really think so.
I appreciate that big time. Thank you. And thank you for doing this session. We have been talking about doing this.
This is my pleasure. Oh. Yeah.
And just the amount of times we would message each other after a month or two and be like, oh, did we ever decide on what we were going to do for Meet the Player? And then another 2 months would go by and it's like, oh yeah, did we finalize anything yet? Yeah. So I really, I have had such a blast chatting. This has just been
this was
awesome.
The best.
So I feel great about just everything we covered, and just all the laughs and whatnot as well. It has been fantastic. So thank you so much.
No, this was the best, man. Thank you so much, Stace.
Awesome. Well, for everybody listening, I trust you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for being here, and we will see you all next time. Take care.